Hello everyone and welcome to another movie review. Today we're doing Doctor Strange. I know it's been a long time since our last movie review. I got a little busy and got sick and all that, but we're back in action. We're slowly getting back into things. I know it's kind of a little late to do Doctor Strange, but it's not so late because the DVD and Blu-ray of the film is coming on February 28th. So we're gonna tell you a little bit about the movie and if it's even worth for you to go buy the movie when it comes out. So let's talk about it now. When I saw that we're doing a movie about Doctor Strange, I was concerned because Doctor Strange is such a very different type of character considering all the other characters we've seen before. Doctor Strange involves a lot about magic. It's part of the human world, but there's this world alternate dimension of magic and whatnot, that there's this secret stuff. So it was weird wondering how could they pull it off, and they actually managed to pull it off really well while still staying true to that Marvel concept formula and ambient feeling overall of the cinematic universe they have created. I think one of the things about Doctor Strange that shines really well is that despite that it's another origin story, you think you might be done and bored of them, is that Doctor Strange is still a very unique film on its own. I think it's definitely a nice change of pace because the last few other films with all of our other Marvel heroes have been mostly all of them grouped up, dealing with situations all together, a lot of conflicts between our heroes. Whether it's on the Avengers Age of Ultron, there were conflicts between them, on Civil War. Here is a clean start of a hero. Ant-Man had his encounters also with Falcon and its origin story. Well, it was also still a very unique story too, because of its visual design and stuff. And Doctor Strange does a little bit of that in the same way that Ant-Man did, because Doctor Strange is very unique visually as well. But I think Doctor Strange manages to be even more its own thing because it's a completely different way of vision of seeing the world that we already seen. It's basically telling us that there's this group of people that deal with these magical powers out there that usually they protect the world from being attacked by the darkness of this magic. Like there's these protectors that are making sure that this doesn't come out there. So in a way it's like saying there's actually some Avengers out there that are taking care of other business in these areas. It's about things that we don't know about that are going on, and I think that's really amazing about this Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that's a great testament of the story of the Marvel Universe, because it's telling us that it doesn't have to be just one hero in your life. You can be a hero, that other person can be a hero, you know. A policeman can be a hero, a fireman can be a hero, a doctor can be a hero, and it can be in very different places of the world. I think that's in that way, in that sense, it's really great. So let's step aside a little bit from the adding the world of magic into the Marvel Universe and focus on the story itself. The story is really focused on Doctor Strange, of course. It's his story. I think it's very well nicely handled, his story, because we don't get to see like we're in his real world and then 5 minutes later we're back into him having powers and all that. No, the story gradually focuses on developing this character, that he's a doctor, he's a professional doctor, a surgeon that works on all these things, and then he has this conflict. Well, I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but he goes through a situation. We get to see emotionally how this situation affects him, how it affects him with his social life and all these other things involved, and it shows us a little bit of background of his personality. I think in that way they managed to make it very similar to Iron Man, that we got to see how Iron Man was until he was then attacked and captured, kidnapped by this group of terrorists. So here in Doctor Strange we see that conflict that ultimately leads him to meet these other people with magical powers. Something that I think that the movie handles really well is the pace on how he becomes more powerful and more intelligent. The movie tries to make it balanced in the sense that You see how he's learning, but the movie doesn't get too attached into you just seeing him learn all the time, you know. The movie moves it a bit the pace to show you that he's learning, and you see a more advanced Doctor Strange. While he's still a bit of a newbie, he still has he's not completely newish like some heroes that you just see. The first action scenes are so rubbish, I would say, in their sense, because they're still newbie with their powers and stuff. I think Doctor Strange handles this better in terms of that. They don't put him like he's completely awful right from the start. We see a well-paced development of the character in terms of his abilities. The overall cast of characters in the movie that are supportive of him, like his friend Mordo on his magical place where the Asian one is I think he's a really great character. I think I was pretty impressed by Mordo in the sense that I was impressed that despite that he's a secondary character that's more supportive of Doctor Strange, you do see a development of him throughout the scenes. You see some progress, some things that's going on to him, and without being super direct, but it's interesting how they develop that, and I think he's a character that's going to be interesting to see more of in the future. The Asian one, I thought it was really great. I think that Tilda did an amazing job as the Asian one. I was very interested in seeing more of her. I was very attentive of all the teachings she had to do. I think she played that, I like to say, the Sensei Yoda role. She nailed it really, really well in that. I think the weakest thing, of course, of the movie, unfortunately, is the villain. I think the villain's called Caecilius, and I think it was very disappointing because Mads Mikkelsen is a very good actor. We also see him in Rogue One, but in Rogue One he doesn't do much either. It's unfortunate because I think this actor is being given these big roles, but they're not doing much with him. When you first see Caecilius on the film, he's basically just having action, and he's doing all this stuff, but he barely talks. I don't think it's like until 1 hour of the movie has passed that he finally talks. He has a lot of scenes, but it's mostly just him performing actions like, ooh, I'm doing evil stuff and whatnot. But you barely see him talk, you barely see him explain himself until like 1 hour after the movie, where he finally meets up with Doctor Strange and he explains what's going on. And it wasn't really convincing. He was just there to be there, but not really the center struggle, or not really a rival for Doctor Strange. He was just that frightening guy that Doctor Strange's first enemy had to be, but not enough to really be like, oh, that guy. But overall, I still think the cast did a really nice job. I think everyone looked like they were having fun, but also serious about what they were doing on their role, so that was great to see. Finally, I think one of the great things overall about Doctor Strange was obviously the visuals. There's some amazing visuals that you see all those buildings, all this imagery of all these buildings going around, floating around, because they create this alternate dimensional world of where they are and fight on this alternate world, and everything's just moving around and spinning. It was amazing. I think that it's definitely the most visually stunning Marvel films. Like, most of the Marvel effects you've seen before is just making Hulk look pretty cool, or seeing superpowers and whatnot. This is beyond that. This is like huge things all over the place. These effects, and they feel real. You know, sometimes CGI can be bad because sometimes the CGI is too obvious, but here I didn't feel that. I was like transported, like it actually focuses on making you this imagery that this is all like a optic illusion of magic. You know, it doesn't focus on trying to make it feel real. It's about the illusion of magic overall, that the effects create this illusion because they spiral in all the way in and out to create this illusion of magic, which is the important thing that's supposed to be about. Overall, I think it was a very, very solid film. I was really impressed. I was afraid because I was not sure what it was gonna be. Also, I'm never been quite a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch, but I was impressed by his work here, and I think I'm now a fan now. Hey! So I think he nailed it. I think he's gonna be really great to see when he meets up with other heroes. So that's gonna be very exciting to see. So yeah, I think Doctor Strange is a very solid film, quite amazing visuals, and a great cast overall. I give it a 9 out of 10. So be sure to grab it when it's out on February 28th on DVD or Blu-ray. It's a very, probably Blu-ray so you can see the awesome visuals. Maybe 3D even if you have it. Anyway, thank you for watching this movie review and stay tuned for Rogue One.